New Rivers sole administrator promises to work for peace and security. National Assembly defers motion on state of emergency in Rivers State. Minor fire outbreak at Port Harcourt refinery complex. On the foreign scene, hospitals in Gaza struggling to cope with casualties. I'm Sam Chinedu, and the news continues after the break. Welcome back. The new sole administrator of Rivers State, Ibok Ete Ibas, says he will work together with all state sole administrator of Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu today. His swearing-in follows the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers by President Tinubu and further suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy Ngozi Odu, and members of the state's legislature. He spoke to newsmen shortly after he was sworn in.
First of all, I think we know the circumstances that led to where we are here. Mr. President made it very clear in his broadcast. If the main issue is that of maintaining law and order in the state, I think for any meaningful activities to take place in Rivers State, that is the utmost task that I have, to work together with all other stakeholders to ensure that we bring peace, order, and security and stability to the people and government of Rivers State and Nigeria at large.
During the swearing-in, the new Rivers sole administrator said he will not allow his personal interest to influence his official conduct.
I will not allow my personal interest to influence my official conduct or my official decisions. That I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That I will not directly or indirectly communicate or reveal to any person any matter which shall be brought under my consideration or shall become known to me as administrator of Rivers State.
Earlier, some residents said they expect the newly appointed sole administrator of Rivers State, Ibok Ete Ibas, to work towards finding a common ground for all actors involved in the political crisis rocking the state. In an interview with our correspondent, the residents, however, expressed doubt that a sole administrator will perform better than a governor.
Within this space of 6 months, they should be able to resolve these two parties. And let's see how Rivers State will move forward. Because already we are losing a lot of things. For a military person to be our own administrator instead of a governor, it will cost a lot of things. Our resources, I don't know how it's going to be. If actually are going to release the allocation they withheld. Because local government, they have not taken their salary.
From the way I'm seeing things, it won't do anything good for Rivers people. So the administrator has less power than an executive governor. Executive governor has power to do what he wants to do on his own. But the administrator will take power from above, which is Abuja. And the one they do not allow him to do, he can't do it. So Rivers State is now in a state of dilemma.
Markets, schools, banks, and government offices remained open today as residents of Rivers State anticipate the resumption of the newly appointed sole administrator of the state. There is also calm in and around Rivers State Government House and other parts of Port Harcourt. Security has been intensified with additional personnel and vehicles stationed around the Government House premises. Earlier, the Rivers State Commissioner of Police, Olugbenga Adepoju, visited the premises to take inventory in preparation for the new administrator's assumption of office. Some government workers could not access their offices. Meanwhile, in a surprising turn of events, both chambers of the National Assembly today stepped down the debates on the declaration of a state of emergency placed on Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu. The matter, which was expected to be discussed in the Senate, had been listed as the first item on the order paper for the day's proceedings. However, midway through plenary, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, asked the Senate leader, Okoyemi Bamidele, to move the debate to 3 p.m., but instead, Senator Bamidele later on called for an adjournment until the next legislative day. The National Assembly is expected to revisit the issue during Thursday's plenary. As you may know, the National Assembly must approve the declaration of a state of emergency within 2 days, if in session, or 10 days, if not in session. In the meantime, the federal government has announced that funds allocated to Rivers State will be given to the state's administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi said this while addressing journalists at the presidential villa in Abuja today. He said the funds would be made available if the administrator requested them. He also defended the state of emergency in Rivers State, saying it was necessary to prevent further threats to national security and the economy.
There is certainly the need to come in. The president has acted timelessly. It doesn't present anybody with joy to disrupt the flow of democracy or practice of it. But the Constitution itself envisages that there may be this type of situation, and that is why it is provided in Section 305 of the Constitution that extraordinary situations might arise. This is one of such extraordinary situations. The second one is about removing the governor, removing the deputy governor. You see, you decide each case on its own peculiar facts and circumstances.
The Attorney General of the Federation dismissed claims that FCT Minister Nyesom Wike played a role in the political crisis that led to the emergency declaration. He said the FCT Minister was not the one who told the suspended Governor Fubara to demolish the State House of Assembly complex. He further advised anyone unhappy with the President's decision to approach the National Assembly.
If whoever has any misgiving, any concern, I would say should chat to thoughts approval that is the need.
Still on this, a security analyst, Efe Wanogo, says declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State is not the solution to the ongoing political crisis. Mr. Wanogo, in an interview with our correspondent, said the president does not have the constitutional power to declare a state of emergency, especially over an attack on an oil installation that no group had claimed responsibility for. He describes the decision as hasty.
I'm aware that he wants to save life and property to ensure there's law and order. But I wonder whether there are any immediate occurrences that would have warranted this action of an emergency rule. So much that you have to now suspend the governor and the assembly. I think it's a little hasty. I don't think this is the way out of this political impasse. This emergency would have been the last resort. That was not the proper decision to take. You do not have need to suspend the government. Was this even necessary?
Mr. Wanago further warned that the state of emergency could worsen the state's economy as it may discourage investors.
For me, regard to the economy of the state, this would further set the state backward because people who have business interests, the investors, will find that it has added to the litany of woes with regards to uncertainties. The risk is why they would want to think twice before coming to the business, and it's not a good thing for the state. So if I had years of them, I would have suggested Governor Fubara would have been invited, Speaker of the Assembly would have been invited, together with the security head, and get a clear-cut plan on how free-cut judgment was going to be followed through and through.
A lawyer and conflict resolution expert, Ndamzi Ekulo, also called on the president to reconsider his decision in the interest of democracy.
Section 305 gives the president power to declare state of emergency, but there is nowhere in that section of the law that authorizes the president to suspend the governor, the deputy governor, and the House of Assembly members. What the president have just done authorized the constitutional, is able and maintain the fact that.
Still to come, fire at Port Harcourt refinery complex. Stay tuned. this known in a statement. He called on Nigerians to speak up. This known in a statement. He called on Nigerians to speak up, especially.
Our money was flying all over our heads.
Also, at the protest, actress Ibina of with detriment of economics, Port Harcourt said aside from the payment of salaries to civil servants, key projects in both rural and urban areas will be halted.
One is zero. Implication that there will be gap in it. But in the first place, administrator will not work with any state budget. That all will work with permission. Professor
the Independent Electoral Commission RISEC after August 9 election.
That whole to rely them. The government is not the election, the core of democracy. So anybody that is head of local government will continue. You cannot touch the vote service. It's always difficult to also touch the judiciary. These are core areas that the military or any martial rule cannot touch.
Moving on, there was a minor fire outbreak at the Port Harcourt refinery complex. A staff member of the company who spoke to correspondent Suibiruwari anonymously said it has been put off. He explained that it started when they were introducing new crude into the tunnel, but that the situation is now under control and production has resumed. Nigeria the PCL reports of the Harcourt refinery in River State. As by the NMP's chief, the flood, which has been full contained. It meant that the danger hazard to staff sees the environment. Developments, the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Ekperipe Ekbo, has commended youths in Andoni local government area for their role in ensuring a peaceful environment for oil and gas operations. Speaking the running of Otakiko, Lake Fire and 12 hours project local area, Ekbo saving of oil with courage there.
By the whole community for growing for operating practitioner comment. Vital structure are crucial to sustaining development and attracting further investment to the Niger Delta.
On his part, the chairman of First Otakikbo Midstream Limited, Professor Anthony Adegbulegbe, assured Energy International Limited, operator of the Otakikbo Field PML-11, and Lekol Oil and Gas Field PML-11, and Lekol Oil and Gas Investment Limited, its technical partner. Away from that, as part of deliberate efforts to bring free healthcare delivery to Rivers West Senatorial District, the Senator representing the Senatorial District, Ipalibo Hari Banigo, representing the Senatorial District, Ipalibo Hari Banigo, through the Kingdom Mandate Initiative.
A total of 6,863 have now been fully dispatched to the now ready for collection. Beneficiaries should visit the designated primary healthcare facilities in their respective local government areas for collection their cards. I also want to take a moment to express my sincere appreciation to our community leaders, traditional leaders, and healthcare providers.
Senator Harry Banigo, who said, with the cards, beneficiary Medicare at a credit source, also all
the groups, disabilities, children under 5 years, pregnant women, the elderly, retirees, terminally displaced persons.
A correspondent reports that the 6,863 beneficiaries were drawn from Abu Odwal, Ahoda East, Ahoda West, Onelga, Degema, Akogutoro, Asaritoru, as well as Boni local government areas. The news continues after the break. With few supplies that they'll need to endure. In the news this evening, you heard the new Rivers Sole administrators promise to work for peace and security. The National Assembly has deferred the motion on state of emergency in Rivers State to Thursday. There was a minor fire outbreak at the Port Harbour refinery complex today. On the foreign scene, hospitals in Gaza are struggling to cope with casualties. The news was edited by Martha Okere, To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I'm Sam Chinedu. Thanks for listening.